It's at this point that I really wish that I'd left the chair that I used to have in my unit here, but never mind. Oh, I know. Seat base. Kneel. There we go, that works. I'm refurbishing switches. Now, it's all well and good that, well, the wiper one works, but the thing is, this isn't from my car. I got these given by a very nice chap called Paul. Cheers, Paul. And, well, I don't know whether they work, but I do know that this particular headlight switch, which is one that I was completely missing, hence the request to ask if anyone wanted to sell me them. Well, these were in, yeah, well, this one came wrapped up in tape. It wasn't together at all. But now, it switches. I forgot to video any of it, but it turns out that actually this is sort of like the simplest of the switches. There's a ball bearing and a spring, and that took a lot of sort of faffing. There wasn't really any specific instruction I could give as to this is how to refurbish one. However, this one, which is the wiper switch, also a necessary one, this is more akin to what all of the other switches are, so many contacts on the back and that kind of thing, whereas the headlight one, it's got the white block on it and it's a bit different. So I believe the hazard switch is the only other one that's similar. I may be wrong. In fact, I think I am wrong. I've just made that up. Anyway, right, so I'll go through how you disassemble one for a start. First it has the collet sort of ring thingamajig on it. It's not going to focus. I've got greasy hands so I can't touch the camera. I did it sort of like with my face to turn it on. Let's see, which one do we disassemble? Let's disassemble the rear wiper switch because I don't actually need that. So first you've got these two little lugs, one on either side. You should just be able to press them in, not necessarily just with fingernail, but with enough force. You don't, because it's plastic, I don't really like using metal things, but if I grab it either side, stick my finger in there. If you've got fat fingers, just get someone else to do it. So I've now pushed that in there. That's just slightly wonky on this bit. Come on, focus on this, focus on this. There you go. Push it there, come on. Let's bring it back up. Push, nope. There. So once that goes slightly crooked, excellent, we can see that. You need to now hold that at the other side through some kind of miracle. Spin it round. And I've let go. But yeah, basically that's how you get the collet thing off. Oh, actually, that one just came off quite easy. Nope, no it didn't. Come on! See, this is why people usually just try and source other switches that work, because, I mean, if it's this much faff to get the first bit undone, you just kind of say, oh, I'll just send it to someone else. And get them to sort it. Mind you, once you actually get some movement in this kind of plastic, it becomes gradually easier. And I mean gradually easier. Oh, there you go. So that now pulls out of there. And then from there, you do the same thing. Do you know, actually, I might as well refurbish this one as well. Well, at this point, you can kind of, in theory, through the tiny holes, and that's why it didn't move. The damn plastic's actually sealed around there. But I don't have the light, do I? One moment. Let's just lever the other side out. So that gives you that. You've got the outer off, and then you need to basically do the same thing for this, which I did actually use a very, very tiny, tiny thin file. Any thicker, you'd distort it to the point where it'll just snap. Just need to gently, really, really gently lever it off. No more than that much. You can see the tiny, tiny peg in there. If you lever it any more than that, you'll snap the edge of it. Mind you, once you get one side started, you can kind of put the other side back on and then start to lever it off again. Come on. Come on, the other ones are easier than this. Start to damage the switch now. There we go. And that gives you the inside of the switch, which actually has spider's webs in it. So yeah, that's marvellous. Now this one is actually in remarkably good condition. So when the switch rocks over, we've actually got two tiny little plungery nipple things. And these, as it switches over, rocks over a lump. So these basically rock over and make the contacts go up and down. I'm not actually pushing anything there, I'm simply just moving it side to side. But the motion of it going up and over that is taken up by the springs, and that's where your click of the switch comes from. Now the things in this seem to be quite even and not that worn, so that's just going to need a bit of contact cleaner on the inside of that, just to make the copper a bit more, crying out loud, there we go, to make the copper a little bit more coppery, and hopefully clean up all the contacts. But other than that, I'm kind of happy with that. The spring on that is quite stiff. I reckon that switch will just work. So we have those components for one switch, but this is the switch that I'd already disassembled earlier. Now, this switch is in worse condition, but actually the copper on the inside isn't that bad. Copper ain't too bad in there, but the springs on here, yeah, notice how one of them's lower. That's because this one I've already refurbished by removing it, pulling the spring a little bit looser, covering it in grease, and putting it back in again. So we now have a very free spring. This one, however, got hardly any spring on it. So I'm now going to very carefully pull that out. Again, not using pliers, too strong. You don't get any feel for it. Oop, there we go. So now that, firstly, it's incredibly mucky on the inside, there's loads of rust particles and things, and the spring is basically the same. Very rusty. So we are simply going to wiggle that about. Oh fuck. See, now I've fucked it. Because some of the spring is left in there and I have pulled the spring out. But since I already have a rear wiper switch, I am very, very tempted to disassemble that one and nick one of the springs out of it. Or I could just take the whole mechanism. Ah, I see. So the spring should, ideally, stay in there. That makes sense. Wow, that's actually really nice. There's no corrosion on that at all. I mean, yeah, that's shiny in there. Same in that one too. Well, that saved me a lot of bother, so I'm just going to put that in there. It doesn't doesn't really fix the switch, does it? I know it makes it work, but now I've just got a dead switch over here. I mean, there is a chance that that's still savable, salvageable, mendable, fixable, mendable, mandible. No, that's something that like a beetle or a praying mantis has. A bit of lube. Cram what's left of the spring back in there. A bit more lube. And since that is a pretty solid lump in there, what I'm actually going to do now is just pull this spring slightly apart. I'm going to be really careful. If I just grab one end of it and pull, the whole thing is just going to stretch at the weakest point, and then you'll end up doing exactly what I've already done and snapping the spring. Ah! I hope none of that was any of the parts that I needed. I need to clean in here. This is where I have a tiny cable tie, because it's plastic and it won't completely damage the inside, but I just stir the WD-40 on the inside of that. Pour it out. And now, where it was really rusty on the inside, it is now clean. So that is excellent. So I can now, in theory, that seems to have worked. Put it there, see if that... Hey, I tell you what, that's better than it was. Kind of. It actually springs back now rather than sort of just go, ugh. It's better than it was, so that's going back in the switch that I'm not bothered about. And at the same time, I will just grab cable tie and stuff to clean the spiders out the top of the switch. If you've ever removed a switch like this and actually found living creatures in them, do let me know in the comments, because I think it'd be hilarious reading. And now, I just need to clean up the contacts on that. I think these should just pop out. Oh, there we go. There we go, so that's lifted out. That leaves us with some tiny contacty doodles inside, and we can now clean them on the side that actually is a contact. I'm just going to use the file for this, because you don't really want a smooth and non-coppery surface. I mean, look, see the shine on that now? There we go. I mean, look, there. This is a shiny little bullet on the end of it. Yeah, that's mint. That's exactly what you want. Just shiny contact. Shiny contact. The rest of it, doesn't fucking matter what colour it is. I mean, ideally, the best thing to use... What am I doing? Oh! Haha! Here's some I prepared earlier. Here's some 1000 grit sandpaper. Oh, I didn't want a piece that big. Whatever. Mint. Sanding copper contacts. Oh, how am I going to get to it in there? So, after all of this, you can sort of understand why people just go, oh, do you know what, sod it. I'm just going to buy new switches. Because there will be some people that as soon as they go onto the first hurdle of, I need to disassemble my switch carefully. Oops, I've broken it. Oh no, now it's worth nothing. I mean, as it is there. No, don't do that. Oh, fine. As it is there, I'm literally scratching the end of it with the file, just to get some copper colour back. Because if you have copper colour, then you have copper. If you have copper, you have conductivity. In theory. I know it's tedious, and I know it's seemingly pointless when you can buy these new old stock, and in some cases brand new, but depends which switch and for what car. If it's a switch for a Mini, then yeah, sure, you can get the parts, but if it's a switch for a Mini, it's not got the correct labels on it, has it? And then ideally, once you're done, get some Servicel Super 10, and we'll just... Oh yeah, I forget, this is the one that it doesn't actually have any air left in it, or compressant, propellant, compressant. There we go. And do the same on the other side, with the same degree of faffing about. So that now, yep, they rock side to side quite nicely. Marvellous. So now, that should go back together. So let's squeeze that together. And that's just gone straight together. Look at that. And the good thing is with these switches is that you can actually physically see. There you go, you can see inside there, so that when I flick the switch, you can see that the contacts close there. Or is it that way? I can't remember which. No, it should be that way. Dunk! There you go, closed, and you can see that everything is actuating and functioning fine. Wipe off all of the grease and residue and stuff. Oh, I was going to put grease in it, wasn't I? I'll sod it. I can do grease later. Now there is a slight issue of the fact that one of the lugs has bust off this, so when it comes to putting things back together, unfortunately it doesn't, well, it doesn't go back together. It sort of just falls apart again, but I mean, it's not terrible. You put it in and it sort of stays there enough to switch and whatever, so it's just a little bit loose, that's all. Tiny bit of looseness, but to be honest, I am not bothered about that at all. So there you go. Fingers crossed these switches actually work now. The thing is with analog components like this, as opposed to a computer thing, is you can see it not working. So there shouldn't be much that can go wrong that you shouldn't be able to just look at and go, here's the problem, let's fix it with gusto, motivation, guessing. I'm now just polishing these contacts and making it so that, again, less muck equals less resistance equals more current. If I understand electrics there correctly. Ah, that'll do. It's a bloody headlight switch. Probably not even going to use these anyway. It does interest me that headlight switch is just one. Are the rest on the indicator stalk? Click. Full beam is there. So I would have thought that there was an extra, but there isn't. It just... Correct me if I'm wrong. If this is supposed to go up as well as down, then I've made a mistake somewhere. But hopefully, those two switches that were missing are now not and actually function. And you know what? Let's put them in the car. Ugh. Oh God. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. 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 Wiper switch and headlight switch in. There we go. And there are two switches, one that's far too big and one that doesn't really fit. But that is all 6 switches in place. That'll do. But if I am as canny as a canny fox who's graduated from Cunningham University in a degree of cunning, I know that started on canny and then ended on cunning, but I wanted to do a Blackadder joke.